What if I told you that your dog's itchy skin, your cat's chronic vomiting, your pet's anxiety, those recurring ear infections, their lackluster coat, what if all those things had the same root? What if they were all connected to one system in your pet's body that most pet parents have never even thought about? That system is the gut microbiome. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to explain exactly what that is, why it matters more than almost anything else when it comes to your pet's health, and what you can do to start supporting it today. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine your pet's gut is a garden. A healthy garden is full of diverse plants, a rich ecosystem where thousands of different species thrive in balance. Some plants fix nitrogen, some deter pests, some attract pollinators. They all serve a purpose, and together they keep the garden functioning beautifully. The gut microbiome works in the same way. It's a complex ecosystem of trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microorganisms that live in your pet's digestive tract. In a healthy pet, these microbes help digest food, produce vitamins and short-chain fatty acids, train the immune system, protect the gut lining, and even regulate mood through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. When that ecosystem is in balance, when the garden is thriving, your pet has the biological foundation of health. So, most pet parents don't recognize dysbiosis because it doesn't look like a gut problem on the surface. It can pop up as skin issues, ear infections, allergies, and behavioral changes. Here's what to watch for. Loose, inconsistent stools or chronic diarrhea, excessive gas or bloating, eating grass, itchy paws and belly, especially when it's year-round rather than just seasonal. A dull or brittle coat that doesn't respond to omega supplements. Low energy, particularly after meals, and anxiety or fearfulness, because the gut makes over 90% of your pet's serotonin. Their emotional regulation is directly tied to their gut. Here's when things get hard, because many of the things we do out of love for our pets are the things that disrupt their gut the most. Antibiotics. Necessary sometimes, but they are non-selective. They wipe out pathogens and beneficial bacteria. Without gut rehab afterward, pets often don't fully recover their microbiome diversity. Steroids and NSAIDs, commonly described for inflammation and pain, but they compromise the gut lining and suppress the immune response that helps regulate the microbiome. Ultra-processed food, high heat extrusion destroys heat-sensitive beneficial compounds. High starch content feeds pathogenic bacteria and yeast. A lack of food diversity limits microbiome diversity. Routine chemical parasite prevention. There's emerging research showing that it impacts the microbiome health from repeated chemical exposure. Chronic stress, including the stress of chronic illness, directly alters gut bacteria populations. If your pet has been sick for a long time, that stress itself is further disrupting the gut. None of this is your fault, but all of it is worth knowing because every single one of these can be addressed. Here's something that will shift how you think about your pet's health forever. Approximately 70% of your pet's immune system lives in and around the gut. A gut-associated lymphoid issue, called GALT, is essential for your pet's immune headquarters. When the gut lining is compromised, which happens with dysbiosis, inflammation, poor diet, and repeated antibiotic use, something called intestinal hyperpermeability develops. You may have heard of it called leaky gut. The tight junctions between gut lining cells loosen, partially digested proteins, toxins, and bacteria pass through the gut wall into the bloodstream. The immune system sees these as foreign invaders and mounts an attack. This becomes systemic inflammation. This is where allergies begin. This is where autoimmune conditions begin. This is where chronic disease starts. And this is why healing the gut is almost always where I start, regardless of what the diagnosis says on the paperwork. Treat the animal. Now, every new client I work with goes through a version of this framework, customized to their pet's specific needs, conditions, and constitution. Step 1, remove. We remove things that are actively damaging the gut, inflammatory foods, identified sensitivities, unnecessary chemical exposures when possible. Step 2 is repair. We use targeted nutrients to help heal the gut lining, L-glutamine, bovine colostrum, zinc, aloe vera, slippery elm. It's going to depend on what the pet needs. Step 3 is re-inoculate. This is where we start to reintroduce beneficial bacteria through quality probiotics, fermented foods like goat milk kefir, and probiotic fibers to feed those bacteria. Step 4, rebuild. This is where we start to use whole food nutrition, proteins that are appropriate for the pet's TCVM pattern, organ meats, vegetables, to help rebuild that nutritional foundation. And step 5 is rebalance. We use TCVM principles here to address the underlying organ system patterns, whether that's supporting the spleen, clearing dampness, or tonifying the kidney, to bring the whole system into balance and to hopefully prevent recurrence. This 5-step process is the foundation for everything that I do, and I want to walk you through each step in much more depth in upcoming videos. This is the type of work I do with every client. And if you want this kind of personalized guidance, a full consultation, a customized protocol, and ongoing support, you can book directly through the link in my description. If you want a more supported, community-based experience, the Woof Member Circle is where I walk pet parents through exactly this process.